Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to this webinar, exploring the future of the Caribbean amid the COVID pandemic and what's next for the region. My name is James Elsmore. I'm the Director of Island Innovation, who has been hosting this as part of a series. Last week, we were joined by representatives from Greenland, the Maldives, Anguilla, and Lanzarote in the Canary Islands. This week, we have a range of people joining from across the Caribbean. And next week, we'll be traveling to Jamaica to look at a very specific country level case study there. Thank you all to everyone who's signed up. We've had over 1,200 people so far sign up and expecting lots of people joining today. Feel free to go ahead and introduce yourself in the chat box. Please just be reminded that you have to select send chats to all panelists and attendees. Otherwise, no one will see your message. We also have a Q&A option. So if you have questions, the chat's going to be probably quite overwhelming with so many people, so a little bit difficult to follow. So if you have specific questions that you'd like to be answered, please make sure you post them in the Q&A and not the chat, because that will make it easier for our moderator to follow this. I also want to say that we have a team of volunteers providing the captions that you'll see at the bottom of the screen. Please bear with them. This is a new thing for us that we're trying to do to make our videos more accessible. But they'll be typing very quickly to keep track of all our speakers. And thank you to the three, Stephen, Genevieve, and Mandy, for volunteering to help us with that. So this series is part of a collaboration that Island Innovation is doing with the University of Strathclyde in Scotland. We are looking at how islands around the world are responding to the current crisis and looking at what strategies they are doing to the future. You may have seen already that we have a survey, which I'll share in the chat also, and in an email that will be sent out to everyone afterwards, asking for information, really. And so what we're trying to do is create a database of information at the university of island responses all around the world that will be made publicly available for policymakers and researchers to be able to make informed decisions on this new direction that the world is going in. So we'll look forward to keeping you updated on that. That's it from me. We've got an amazing panel with 4 speakers and a moderator who will discuss quite different angles around this. And we'll just remind you to make sure that you join us at the same time next week for the panel specifically on Jamaica. So I'd like to introduce now our moderator, Martyn Forde. He is a Barbados national, although joining us from slightly cooler climate in Toronto. He has worked for clients including Carolec and the Rocky Mountain Institute, particularly with an angle on energy resiliency, but he has a wide range of interests in the region, and among his many accolades is a former Olympian also. So I will hand over to Martyn and let him introduce himself a little bit more and introduce the panelists. Thanks again, Martyn, for doing this, and thanks to our panelists.
Thank you, James. Thank you for having me. You always seem to throw that in there. But welcome everyone to this panel. I have the honor of introducing our panelists. We have great guest panelists from all across the region. We have Dr. Didacus Jules, who is the Director General of the Oecs. We have MP Ludmila Duncan from St. Martyn joining us. And we have Miss Bianca Peters joining us from Aruba at the moment. And then we have Mr. Conor Oecs joining us from the Cayman Islands. So guys, welcome to the panel. I'd like to, just for the audience to understand a bit about your roles, I just wanted to go around and just have you give a brief response of what your responsibilities are. So I'll start in the order that we'll be doing the presentation. Dr. Jules, just could you share a bit about your role?
Yes, thanks, Martyn. I am the Director General of the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, which is a grouping of 11 countries in the Eastern Caribbean. If you look at the arc of islands, it's pretty much the arc of small islands. This includes 6 independent member states, 3 British overseas territories, and 2 French territories, Martinique and Guadeloupe. So my function really is to accelerate and drive the regional integration movement. The OECS has been around for almost 40, next year will be 40 years of existence. And there's a whole architecture of integration supporting this move. One of our greatest sources of pride is the Eastern Caribbean dollar, which is now the strongest currency in the Caribbean. It's been around for 40 years and the parity to the US has not changed.
Thank you very much. And MP Duncan, could you please go ahead and share a bit about your role with the audience?
Hi, good afternoon to you and to the panel. Thank you again for having me. I am a new politician. I was recently elected as a member of parliament here in St. Martin. Before that, I was a civil servant. I worked as a senior policy advisor for the ministries of economic affairs and tourism. Before that, education and justice. So I've been working for government for quite some time. And so now in this role as the people's representative, I am looking forward to doing all that I can do to get this country to recover as well as we can post-COVID. So I'm looking forward to sharing my thoughts on what St. Martin is getting ready to pursue in a post-COVID-19 world. Thank you.
Well, thank you for joining us. And Bianca, could you share a bit about your role?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Martyn, for this. And also thank you, James, for inviting me. Yeah, my name is Bianca Peters. I'm the co-founder of 360 Degrees of Innovation, as well as Island Impact. And I was for 6 years the senior advisor to the Prime Minister on Aruba on innovation and sustainable development. And since 2017, we established these foundations as well as the social enterprise. I now also part-time advise the government of Bonaire on innovation and sustainable development, and I am part of the steering committee of the Local 2030 Island Network.
It's an honor to have you. And Conor, please share a bit about your role, please.
Morning and good afternoon, depending on where the participants are based. My pleasure to join you all today, and I look forward to an interesting discussion and some good Q&A with all the participants. And my background is I've spent 35 years in the Cayman Islands at this stage, so I have a broad range of experience through a career as an executive in the financial services industry, very much involved in Bermuda and Cayman, and with a lot of the Channel Islands, and with history in Bahamas and Barbados. So I have a good broad understanding of the Caribbean. Currently, I chair about 6 companies. So I underwrite, one of the companies underwrites property insurance in 18 Caribbean countries. Another is in telecoms, very much involved across the Caribbean. A banking in Cayman, and also a bank listed on the New York Stock Exchange. Financial media streaming company, startup company, a mobile wallet startup company that's making great inroads in Haiti. So I've got a very broad range of experience in business, and a great empathy with what the Caribbean is looking at over the coming years. And very happy to be on the platform with you all today to share my insights and to learn from others as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Conor. Well, as you can see, we have a broad subset of panelists here today, and we're really looking forward to the discussion. For the panelists, we also have a broad subset of audience members. You know, James issued a poll when you guys were introducing yourselves, and you know, we do have 38% of people from outside the Caribbean, but then within the Caribbean, we have a great mix coming from, you know, OECS member states with 11%, a lot from Trinidad, 7%, Jamaica, 5%, Puerto Rico, Dutch Caribbean Islands has 9%. And so it's great to see that we're going to have a dialogue that, you know, other countries outside of the region are looking towards to get some insight. And in terms of, you know, their roles, we have a lot of interest from the private sector, with 34% of our audience from there, and from the universities, as well as, you know, travel industry. So
Martyn, I just want to jump in quickly
yeah, sure.
to remind people, thanks for going through the poll results. If you have questions, please don't post them in the chat. I'm seeing a lot of questions coming up there and they won't get answered if they're in the chat. So please click the Q&A box and submit your questions there. And I'm seeing a lot of messages come through, but most of you are only sending them to the panelists. So would encourage you to resend your message, select the little blue box above where you type it, and select all panelists and attendees so everyone can see you. But really appreciate all of the messages and introductions that are coming through. And I'll jump back in at the end of the call and see you then. All right. Thanks, Martyn. Sorry to interrupt.
Thanks, James. Thanks for that. So guys, without any further ado, Dr. Jules, I'm going to turn it to you to share your presentation on your insights into the economic outlook for the Caribbean.
Okay, thank you very much, Martyn. I am going to speak about the economic future of the OECS, life after COVID, or as some of our prime ministers have been debating, probably life living with COVID. But I'm going to do it in three parts. One, to speak about the pre-COVID reality that we were faced with. Secondly, the impact of COVID. And thirdly, living with COVID or life after COVID. So prior to COVID-19, climate change was the clear and present threat around which our vulnerabilities seem to have coalesced. And particularly after the twin destruction wrought by hurricanes Irma and Maria in a single season, our post-Maria planning centered around the question of building resilience against natural disasters that have been exacerbated by climate change. Of course, we've had other vulnerabilities, the limitations of size as small island states, and we've had many economic vulnerabilities, the question of high debt, disadvantageous terms of trade, structural deficiencies, and us being stigmatized, as Minister Camilo Gonzalez described it, stigmatized by unrealistic graduation formula, the use of GDP and per capita income as measures, ways of measuring the progress of small states. In terms of the impact of COVID, I want to describe that impact using a paradigm that was proposed by one of our heads of government, Prime Minister Ralph Gonzalez, which we call HEAS, Health, Education, Economic, Social, and Security. So these are the key areas that we have been focusing on in dealing with COVID and looking beyond COVID. On the health front, obviously, as everyone knows, there's been tremendous pressure placed on our health systems. The entire health infrastructure of all of the member states of the OECS had to be reconfigured to address possible worst-case scenarios. So especially in terms of special facilities for quarantine, making provisions for stronger, larger intensive care facilities, supplies and equipment to manage those facilities. There had to be a whole reconfiguration. Even in countries where you've had a fairly robust infrastructure of primary health, like community health centers, these too had to be reconfigured to adjust to the reality and the potential worst case scenario of COVID. So the health system was under serious strain. On the economic front, most of our territories in the OECS have moved from monocrop economies to monoservice economies, with tourism being the big giant in the economy. In fact, 10 of the top 20 most tourism dependent countries in the world are in the Caribbean, and most of these are OECS member states. So we have had, for example, in St. Lucia, tourism provides direct employment of 41.8% of the national workforce. In the OECS, tourism accounts for 45.9% of total employment and 48.9% of the GDP of the OECS member states. So with COVID, we've seen a total closure of the tourism sector, and it has had a concatenation effect because the airlines stopped flying, then the hotels had to shut down. With the shutdown of the hotels, the private sector got badly hit, the distributive sector. So it was a concatenative effect. All related sectors have been impacted: airline traffic, craft, taxi operations, etc., resulting in massive unemployment. The figures are that in Antigua alone, the estimate is over 20,000 persons have been made directly unemployed with the closure, with the immediate shutdown. And it has not been a gradual shutdown, it has been a very sudden shutdown. Government revenue accordingly has also seen drastic reductions, and that has had also its own iterative impacts on debt servicing, government insolvency to meet payroll obligations, etc. And on top of that, governments now having to deal, which is the third bucket, on the social front, having to address take care of those who are most vulnerable and make provisions for continuation of some basic living wage for those persons who have been rendered unemployed. A result of that has been that the national insurance schemes have been very heavily taxed, put under serious pressure in order to respond to those dire needs. We are not in danger. I believe, although the statistics have not been compiled, we will likely see a complete reversal of many of the gains made in the fight against poverty as a result of this economic shutdown. On the education front, there's been a complete closure of schools in the OECS, and then a very rushed move to online learning, which in itself is impacted by the digital divide because not all kids have devices, not all families have access to the internet, notwithstanding the fact that the Caribbean and the OECS in particular has a relatively high rate of penetration compared to other developing countries. On the security front, obviously, there have been, the major challenge on the security front has been twofold. One, controlling illegal entry into the country. And because of the proximity of the islands, that has been a challenge, particularly between the French territories and countries like Dominica and St. Lucia, where there's been a substantial movement of people, much of it illegal, but not rigidly policed by the authorities, because people go for job opportunities and they go shopping and an active trade of fishing boats and so on. But with COVID and the shutdown and the need to quarantine, many of the cases that appeared in St. Lucia post the shutdown were actually persons coming illegally into St. Lucia on fishing boats, repatriating themselves but avoiding the quarantine requirements. So I want to focus now on life after COVID, or maybe living with COVID. And I want to take a different perspective, because we all know the stories of war and the difficulties that we are going to encounter. For us in the OECS, while we need to address those challenges, we need to look at it in a different way, see what the opportunities are. As somebody said, a crisis is too good an opportunity to waste. Because as debilitating as COVID has been to life and to health, to livelihood and economy, it nevertheless carries deep in the womb of its disruption unprecedented opportunities for the regeneration of society, economy, and the environment. And I'm sure colleagues in this webinar would recall hearing the stories about clear skies in China, fresh air in India, the return of, even in the Caribbean, people are reporting bees in greater abundance than they've seen before, hummingbirds reappearing, wildlife. So it is almost as if nature has inflicted this pandemic to cause the human race to take a pause, check itself, while nature regenerates herself. So what are the opportunities in there? In what areas has COVID created new transformational possibilities? And I'm going to speak just in general terms about the opportunities that we see. One, we've spoken for years about the need to diversify our economies, but we've allowed ourselves to go for the lowest hanging fruit and the easiest opportunities, and we've ended up with a monoservice, largely monoservice economy, monosector service economies. So there's the opportunity for a more diversified economy with strong intersectoral linkages that guarantees the capacity of the OECS as a region to be self-sustainable in its essential needs. Now, all of these words are critical and have very practical application for us. We're talking about a diversified economy, but not just diversified, but with strong intersectoral linkages so that one part of the economy reinforces the other. What we're doing in terms of food security in agriculture must reinforce the health agenda in terms of healthy foods, the fight against non-communicable diseases, which is a consequence of our bad food habits, etc. Then there's also the question of food security as a pillar of economic sustainability and a foundation for healthy lifestyles. The Caribbean as a whole, our food import bill is projected to reach anywhere from 8 to 10 billion US dollars by 2020. Now with what is happening now, we had done projections last year, in the last couple of years, especially after Maria and Irma, and we recognize that even if the Caribbean chain was not hit by any hurricane, but Florida got badly hit by a hurricane, it would severely impact our supplies of food in the region because of our dependence on Florida as a major part of the value chain. So the question of shorter value chains, regionalizing of value chains, within that context, building food security as a pillar of economic sustainability is critical. And just parenthetically, I should note that more than 40 years ago, Eric Williams, the founding Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, had put on the agenda of CARICOM the importance of food security. Then there's the issue of having to reinvent tourism in ways which enhances the visitor experience, but with safeguards for the health of both visitor and tourism workers. And this is something, even as I speak now, our prime ministers are engaged, and ministers of tourism in meetings discussing in very, very forensic detail what is going to be required, discussing with the health authorities the medical triggers, as well as the health requirements and safeguards that need to be built into a managed reactivation of the economy, and in particular, the tourism economy. In looking at a rejigging of our economy, the question of economic justice must be brought to the fore. Economic justice built on a foundation of greater productivity, entrepreneurial possibility, and wider economic participation. We have recognized that while people have been dependent on the financial sectors, and everyone knows what has happened with de-risking the banks, it is estimated that in the OECS, about 40,000 people have been moved out of the banking sector because of the de-risking issues and the banks trying to safeguard themselves. So the small depositors, the small people in the banking economy have been moved out. And that is contrary to the direction in which we need to go. More and more we need to have financial inclusion. And that is why the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank is moving rapidly to a digital EC dollar. We've been looking at ways of digitizing the financial sector. So a more inclusive social safety net is the other part of it that guarantees against indigence and high levels of poverty. One of the interesting phenomena is that in several of our countries, many of the sole traders and individual entrepreneurs who for years have resisted paying into the NIS so that they can get pension benefits because they short-sightedly want to spend a dollar they earn today rather than prepare for tomorrow, now are calling on governments, and many of our governments have made provision to take from the same NIS that these persons refuse to pay into in order to provide a safety net for them. So I think coming out of this, there will have to be a serious discussion and maybe even make it compulsory that everyone pays into the NIS, everyone participates in this, to see, because in times of difficulty like this, we have seen its value. Then there's a reconfiguration of our health system around preventative rather than curative approaches at the primary level. Post-COVID, we need to look at how do we ensure that primary health care is given a greater attention. We cannot continue to invest in intensive care hospitals and tertiary level health provision. So at the basic level, starting with nutrition in the households, going up to, preventative checks and care at the community level in order to ease the pressure on the tertiary system. Importantly, from an education perspective, the need to reimagine the education system completely. One of the big issues is what's going to happen with those thousands of kids. So we need to seamlessly incorporate different modalities of learning with a more comprehensive interdisciplinary approach. It's interesting because I think one of the consequences of this crisis is that we have to no longer think of subjects in their discrete boxes, but begin to think of a more multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary approach to learning that embeds critical thinking, entrepreneurship, disruptive approaches to things, problem solving. And then the financial systems, as I mentioned earlier, that need to be more inclusive with digital transactions, providing equitable access to capital at all levels. And lastly, I want to talk, this COVID, I think, proves and provides an opportunity for an acceleration of regional integration with stronger economies of scale, support to comparative advantages, the rationalization of resource constraints, and an inclusive dynamic that ensures shared benefits to all. And in the context of the OECS, we are guided by the revised Treaty of Basel, so we need to pick up the pace on the aspirations of the revised Treaty of Basel, and the fundamental freedoms associated with that are the free movement of people, which we have, I'm happy to say, achieved in the OECS. People can move from island to island in the OECS with simply a government-issued photo ID, no restriction on how long you stay, no work permit required or any such thing. Free circulation of goods.
Jules, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, I'm winding up. As I speak, we have before the cabinets of the OECS draft provisions for the ease of circulation of goods, the free exchange of services, and the free movement of capital. So these are the transformative possibilities we see coming out of the post-COVID situation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jules, and appreciate that broad overview of solutions. And I know MP Duncan is going to speak a bit about like long-term recovery, economic development as well. So that's a good segue for us to turn over to her. So MP Duncan, I hand it over to you at this point in time, and let me know if your slides, if you're having issues with the slides.
Thank you so much, Martyn. I'm gonna share a PowerPoint here. Please let me know if it's available. 1 second. Is it visible?
It's visible. Just put it into, yeah, perfect. It's great.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Okay.
It's all good now.
Great. So as a member of Parliament, I am a recently elected member. Of course, my focus is more of from a macro level. And so I'm going to just talk about what I believe is the next step for St. Maarten in particular. And I'm calling on us to create, in some way, an industrial revolution. First, I must tell the audience a little bit about St. Maarten for those who don't know. It is the smallest landmass to be shared by two nations. And so in the north of the island, we have what we call the French side. It's an overseas collectivity of France. And the south of the island, St. Maarten, is a constituent state within the Kingdom of the Netherlands. So we have quite a unique situation here with two countries and a border. But we're one people, definitely. What makes St. Maarten unique is that we are extremely urban. We are one of the most densely populated countries, especially in the region. On the Dutch side alone, so on the south of the island, we have over 42,000 residents packed into 13 square miles. And so we're extremely urban. This presents some issues within itself, but it also presents some opportunities, I believe. Now, we as well have a high import dependency. I think Dr. Jules really summed up all of the issues of small island nations. Most of our food, in fact, I don't have the percentage, but most of our food is imported, medicine, and of course our European counterparts and the United States we depend on heavily. Now, some of our core issues, and this is just a few, but the fact that we as well are very dependent on tourism. We have a one-pillar economy, and that needs to change. If there is one thing that COVID-19 taught us, is that we cannot continue with business as usual, definitely not. And just like many of our brothers and sisters in the region, 2017 was an extremely difficult year for us. Hurricane Irma hit us head on, and we are actually still recovering from Irma and Maria. So we are on the front lines of climate change, like the other islands in the region, and this is going to have an impact on anything that we do moving forward. So just shortly, the socioeconomic impact of COVID-19 on St. Maarten, of course, like everyone else, unemployment. Our major hotels have laid off hundreds and hundreds of employees, and for other companies that didn't need to lay off persons, hours have been reduced. There is a financial crisis that we are experiencing, and I think we've actually been experiencing this for quite some time, right? So we are already in recovery mode post-Hurricane Irma. The World Bank has been situated here since 2017. They have been managing funds, Dutch funds, funds from the Netherlands, recovery funds. And so the government was already in a really bad position. And so COVID-19 has just exacerbated the experience. So government revenues have been impacted, and the private sector, of course, has been impacted. We have an issue on the island with poverty and vulnerability. According to one report, over 13,000 households have been plunged into poverty. And so it's going to be a big issue moving forward. You know, how do we take care of the most vulnerable in our society, especially those who were already vulnerable? And the government has, of course, has implemented an income support program, payroll support. There is a feeding program right now. So we are doing the best that we can do within the situation that has been put upon us. What I am calling for, and I call it an industrial revolution, because I believe that we have to think of it in such a way that we transform our mindset and the way in which we approach life, especially as a small island nation, and within the context that is the jurisdiction of the Kingdom of the Netherlands. You know, we are not a member of CARICOM or the OECS, but I am hoping that we can become associate members at least, or have observer status. Why? Because we need to learn and we need to improve cooperation within the region. So that is key. So the revolution involves basically a sharp change in direction. The political discussion has begun. What will St. Maarten look like, right, after COVID-19? So legislation and policy making will be key for us moving forward. You know, the public sector is huge here. And so all of the politicians right now are discussing new ways in which to do business and to change the way in which our economy has been developing over the last few decades. So I am saying a sharp change in direction is necessary. At the core of it should be that entrepreneurial spirit, right? So whether it's small businesses, Dr. Jules also talked about positive disruption. We need innovation to be at the core of any decisions that are made moving forward. And I think protectionism will be important as well. You know, we have a very small economy, but it's been very open over the last few decades. So how do we protect our small businesses, but still encourage foreign direct investment and cooperation? That's going to be key. Data-driven, you know, through the region, we do have issues with collecting data so that our decisions are based on real-time information. That is going to be important for us as well to improve the way in which we collect statistics and use them to drive policy making. I believe as well that participatory approaches to anything that we do is important. So improving civic participation, the way in which our citizens engage government and share their ideas. We have a very strong nonprofit sector on St. Maarten that I am proud of. They have done a big role. They have actually played quite a role after or during COVID-19 in terms of food distribution, but we will be depending on them as well for policy making. Sustainable, of course. You know, any industries that are developed will have to also be green. As I said, we are an urban, quite an urban environment, but we need to protect our environment, and we need to make sure that land usage is done in an effective and sustainable manner. And of course, technology is at the center of everything. You know, a friend of mine's recently talked about designing an app for home growers and for our local farmers. You know, it's easy, it'd be very easy for me to go on the app and see what is available in terms of agriculture. And so what I'm thinking that we need to do is, again, just develop new industries. How can we move away from being a one-pillar economy? There's been a discussion for quite some time here in the country about agriculture. We never seen ourselves as having what is ideal to develop farming, but we have everything that is necessary. And so agriculture will be key, especially, of course, for food security. So COVID-19 has really forced us to rethink how we see ourselves as a country and how we want to move forward. Now, I know in the region, the cannabis industry is becoming quite popular. I think that we have an opportunity on St. Maarten as well, and it's a political discussion. How do we develop the cannabis industry and create new jobs and new opportunities for our people? I threw this in here, organic hair products. You know, we have a lot of small businesses right now that are producing hair products. So for my women, I think it's something that we can do, and really it has some good export potential, especially in the region. The creative industry is also something that we have talked about within the region. You know, we have a lot of talented musicians, disc jockeys, producers. We have a lot of talented people here. And so how can we export that talent and really create some new opportunities in a framework and in a sustainable way? What the resolution will do is basically reduce the dependency on tourism. I think that it will increase regional cooperation, which is important for us, and of course, economic growth and resilience. Because if it's not COVID-19, we have to worry about the next hurricane that is approaching. And so this is my contribution to this discussion, and I look forward to the question and answer session. Thank you.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much, MP Duncan. And you mentioned something there that really stood out to me, civic innovation and engaging others to coordinate and give back. And I think that's like the perfect segue for me to hand over to Bianca, because she's working on some projects that aim to do just that and help us rethink how we are coordinating our responses. So Bianca, I pass it to you right now.
Yes, thank you so much, Martyn. And thank you, Ludmila and Dr. Jules, for these great presentations. I think they sum up quite some opportunities for us after or living with Corona, depending on how you look at it. But what I want to do during my short presentation is look at, okay, what can we do now that has a long-term impact? And I will give you 2 or 3 short examples of things that we are working on right now in order to make sure that we really can discuss next steps towards the future. And the question is, how can we use innovation to connect dots and close certain gaps? The first example that I want to give to you is Happy to Give Back. Happy to Give Back is a digital funding platform that we established together with CD Aruba. CD Aruba is a foundation, a social foundation on Aruba. And what we do with this digital platform is focus on the most vulnerable people on Aruba. Due to the Corona crisis, a lot of people lost their jobs. And I literally saw the line grow day by day at the food banks. And one of the biggest challenges for all of us islands is how do we close the gap as much as possible between the most rich and poor people on the island? Because the last thing that you want to have on an island is, of course, is looting and getting into destruction, actually. And one of the things how you can do that is to make sure that people have a roof above their head and, of course, every day food on the table. And this is why we decided to set up a digital funding platform specifically for friends of Aruba. Can be international, can be local. You can go to the website happytogiveback.com where you will find all the information. We even imported also the possibility to pay via Bitcoin. So we really looked at, okay, what kind of opportunities are there to really ask friends of Aruba to contribute to the most vulnerable on the island. And up until now, we raised, I think, around $200,000. So it is taking off. And very happy with that. And this is one example on what you can do now to make sure that the impact towards the future concerning Corona crisis is not going to become too big, and that we all can eventually thrive towards a better future. Another example that I want to mention, actually I saw it already also in some of the questions, is about regional collaboration. What can we do with that? Not only public sector, public-private sector together, but also different islands together. I give you one example. The European Union, is busy with setting up a fund for the OCTs, the Overseas Countries and Territories. And once we saw that, we said with the 6 different Dutch Caribbean islands, okay, let's send in letters to the mother country, in this case, the Netherlands, as well as the European Union, asking them to really focus on the islands, because we do feel that, especially for islands, it's really important to get in funds. Even though also the mother countries are affected a lot. Yeah, I think we all know that islands are even more due to the fact that most of them focus mainly on tourism. So I totally agree with Dr. Jules and Ludmila that we really need to focus on diversifications of our economy. And let innovation help you in that. You can do a lot of things. You can organize hackathons. Actually, we did one on Sint Maarten in 2018, directly after Hurricane Irma. And I'm not sure if you were there, Ludmila. I think you were even, yeah. And that was a huge success because we brought together everybody from the island in one room to discuss new creative ideas for the future of Sint Maarten. So, you know, look into what kind of solutions, what kind of opportunities do you see right now in order to make sure that you can create a thriving future for islands, not only locally, but also regionally. So I will leave it at that for now, Maarten.
Thank you very much, Bianca. And you know, like I think this is great because we're talking about economic diversification and what this would mean. And our next speaker, Conor O'D, you know, he's going to provide us a bit of insight into some of the macroeconomic trends that he's seen in past situations where we've been challenged and how we can make inferences from that. So Conor, I'll hand it over to you. And you know, like, I know the session is going great. We will have the Q&A come right after Conor, so we will be able to unpack some more of these points being made.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you, Maarten. Pleasure to be here and participate with everybody. Acknowledging the excellent commentary from Dr. Jules, Bianca, and Ludmila, I will try and avoid any overlap or duplication in my comments to manage the time effectively. But in effect, the crisis is going to escalate from a health crisis to a humanitarian crisis and ultimately to a solvency crisis. And that's the path we're on. And whether that's regionally or globally, that's the path that we have to manage carefully over the next year to 18 months and maybe longer, because this crisis will be deeper and it'll be more prolonged than people anticipate. It's interesting, people often look at Cayman in the region and think it's, you know, been fortunate with its financial services industry and tourism, and the fact that 55% of GDP comes through financial services, 25 to 30 through tourism, you know, and the balance comes from local business, so to speak. But the reality is that while financial services is still performing reasonably well, most people are employed in tourism. So like the other islands, there's been a sudden and a dramatic rise in unemployment, and with no natural social welfare system to support those people, there has to be a lot of private sector, public sector support for those people. Given that the demographics in Cayman is about 50% Caymanian, 50% from overseas, a lot of those people will probably repatriate, and the government and the private sector will help repatriate them. So he effectively will probably export of a population of 65,000, some 15 to 20,000 people while tourism is shut down. Huge economic impact in terms of the scale of the economy. But just to give you a snapshot on Cayman, and then allied to the geopolitical forces around the financial services industry, blacklisting with the EU, etc., there are many challenges which are common across the region with different flavors in different countries. But effectively, in terms of solvency, I do have the fiscal challenge for governments is enormous. If you go back to 2008, there really have been a sustained period of growth across the region, across the globe, and the Caribbean rose with it. A lot of foreign direct investment, new properties, new infrastructure, etc. 2008 came, and it hit the Caribbean hard because it hit North America hard, and that effectively is our source market for tourists primarily. So I think from there, in the build out, of course, the risk of natural disaster. So 2010, Haiti has an enormous earthquake with tremendous loss of life and loss of infrastructure. Through Irma and Maria and Dorian, you know, the hurricanes just line up at the moment and do significant damage, which takes many years to rebuild from. I sympathize with Ludmila in that regard, and having come through Hurricane Ivan in Cayman in 2004, it's not a one-year experience, it's a multi-year experience, and leaves behind significant human tragedy along with significant government debt and private sector debt. So there is a lot of digging out of a hole already, so to speak, and then you layer on top of that the global pandemic. So the challenges for government of revenue raising and also supporting people to avoid a humanitarian crisis is enormous. And ultimately, the only way governments can really deal with that is through borrowing. So ultimately, the World Bank and the IMF will have a role to play, and the future of debt forgiveness, that needs to be looked at carefully, because there will need to be a level of debt forgiveness across the world. And how we get to that is really important. And the World Bank are doing an interesting job on that, saying that if you're paying international debt back, you can pay it into them. They will escrow it and for the creditors, but ultimately they'll lend it back to you straight away. So a flow-through process. Interesting concept. I think it could work, but I think there's a lot of work to be done in that space to protect the vulnerable economies of the Caribbean. You can look at all the data, but it all confirms that the governments of the Caribbean in public debt are stressed, and this is just going to be put it to another level. Really important that through all of this, though, that the Caribbean is very dependent on access to US dollar markets for its financing, but also for correspondent banking. And there's a risk there that it could cripple investment. It impacts remittance flows, as we've seen through Belize and other countries over the last number of years, and effectively will result in a lack of growth and a lack of export trade. Some of the good things, I mean, there's been good progress on poverty over the last 20 years, but it's still about 1 in 5 across the Caribbean below the poverty line. And with the humanitarian challenges coming, that number is only going to go up, and will take careful management. Another big issue is the youth unemployment. 25% youth unemployment across the Caribbean versus 8% adult unemployment. The feelings of hopelessness, lack of opportunity, etc., are significant amongst the youth, and so we have a burgeoning challenge with that generation, I think, in the years to come, and one that will need careful socio-economic management. So what's needed? Caribbean has always done well in the foreign direct investment. I think that has to continue. We have to nurture it. We have to find good investors. We have to get public-private sector financing initiatives off the ground, and to basically make sure that that avenue to dollars is not cut off at any stage. We need far better logistics, infrastructures and skills to produce medium to high technology products and engage in wider trade. If you look at infrastructure, there's talk of approximately $30 million needed over the next 10 years in the Caribbean to modernize power, transportation, water and wastewater sectors. That's an enormous number against the backdrop of fiscal challenges that are ongoing and will continue for the next couple of years. One of the biggest things I think that the Caribbean needs, it needs a good backbone subsea cable for the internet. And from my knowledge of that space, that's probably about a $500 million investment to basically lay the subsea cable across the Caribbean to connect it in through a couple of points of, no single point of failure, multiple points of failure across the Caribbean. So I think that benefits the whole Caribbean. And that leads me into the need for the Caribbean to work together, for the governments to work together, to provide the linkages, as was referred to earlier, to make sure that the linkages become better integration. If I take another example, take the subsea cable, let me take the cruise ships. The Florida Caribbean Cruise Ship Association deals with every country alone, so to speak, and it's a divide and conquer type approach. If you look at what it gives to the Caribbean, each passenger on average probably gives $100 in spend to each market that they go to. I think the Caribbean should be coming together and actually demanding more from the Cruise Ship Association across the region on a consistent basis, as opposed to the divide and conquer approach that we've allowed the FCCA promulgate for the last 20 years. So there's small things like that that can make a big difference. We know we're going to have social challenges. We still have the gender equality as a major issue in the Caribbean, and we have this youth unemployment issue. So very challenging social issues coming our way. But I challenge governments to look at the business of government. It has to change. The red tape in the Caribbean, is unreal in my experience. There are too many institutions, too many layers, and I think if governments can make themselves more effective and productive in terms of their execution, I think that will be a great help to getting things done quicker, faster, better to help the recovery post-COVID. We need to look at the diaspora. There's a huge diaspora. The Caribbean has exported its talent for many years, or they've left of their own accord, so to speak. Many of them are in my age group, and many of them have built capital. They should be encouraged to come back to their home countries, bring their capital, bring their talent, and help develop the future of their country and of the region. I think that's a huge opportunity. Those people are based in Florida, New York, Toronto, London, all over the world. And I think that's a huge resource that needs to be tapped in sooner rather than later. And I think that can be done as a call-in regionally, but looking for them to come to their individual home countries, so to speak. That will help build the small ecosystem of entrepreneurial spirit. There's going to be many organizations that we thought would never fail, big ones that actually fail. But therein lies the opportunity. As Dr. Jules says, every crisis provides an opportunity, so let's not waste it. And so I think that building those hubs where there's capital brought in, talent brought in to help entrepreneurs, to help small businesses that are struggling at this time to actually learn how to do better on the accounting side, on the marketing side, you know, on managing the people side. There are so many opportunities there, but it's not a case of just giving people capital. It's a case of supporting them and mentoring them through to help them to build successful businesses. There needs to be credit guarantees, etc., in place to support them, obviously, and good capital, but it's a lot more than just money. There has to be a self-sustainable regional approach. Agriculture, as mentioned earlier, whether it includes cannabis or not. You know, I think there's huge opportunities, and that can be done in the short term. Government have a lot of land. Private sector have a lot of land. That can quickly be turned into agricultural opportunities. And actually, you know, that could start yesterday and could deliver results within 6 to 12 months. There are bigger issues such as health and education, and I believe they're longer term issues. But in the short term, I really believe agriculture is a big opportunity. So in summary, I think we need better linkages, better integration. We need a subsea cable, which I think is a key piece of infrastructure that's missing at the moment. And we need to bring talent and capital back from around the world to help rebuild the region. That's it, Maarten, for now.
Well, thank you, Conor, and thank you all for your presentation. So now I ask the audience, you know, if you have not done so yet, please submit your questions in the Q&A section. But what I'm going to try to do is kind of synthesize some of the questions that come in with what you guys have been saying. And something that really stood out to me, all of you touched on, you know, getting people back to work, getting infrastructure going. We had some questions come in from Dave Waters and Prakash Ramia regarding the clean energy industry. And, you know, like, what role do you see renewable energy, and I shouldn't just say renewable energy, clean energy playing in creating those opportunities for employment in the short or long term, while also building that resilience? I'm going to direct this one to Dr. Jules and MP Duncan.
Sorry, I missed the question. I was focusing on answering another question online.
Oh, that's no problem. That's no problem. I was saying, you know, I synthesized what you guys are speaking about economic diversification, getting people back to work, that there's a potential humanitarian crisis coming out, and how do we, and also the importance of new infrastructure. And we had some panelists asking about the role that renewable energy or clean energy would play in creating those opportunities for economic diversification and jobs and employment. And how do you see your jurisdictions playing a role in that? How does it help you?
Yeah, well, I think Conor spoke to several threads of what needs to be put in place. But what is critical is that we need to have a well-integrated plan in place, because there is no single solution by itself will take us where we need to go in the post-COVID world. So for example, if we're talking about reconfiguration of the economy, aside from those areas I mentioned, green energy has an essential role to play in that. We have an abundance of sunshine. We have, you know, really steady winds. the use of solar power, wind power, even wave power. We need to look at all modalities, geothermal energy. How do we integrate that into the economy to make ourselves more competitive? I mean, just the energy initiatives alone could make our economies far more competitive and cheaper, because the cost of electricity is one of the major factors inhibiting any effort at industrialization or even development, even at a social level, the electrification of villages, rural communities, and so on. So we do need to take a much more integrated approach to this. The issue of bandwidth and digital infrastructure is something that we didn't touch on, but Conor spoke to that. My one caveat with what he's saying is that we have explored the cost of the subsea fiber, and as he indicated, it's usually expensive. In Africa, they've done a lot of work with their own subsea cables. We had been exploring, and we actually had an MOU with one of the companies, OneWeb, which unfortunately went bankrupt recently, to provide internet by satellite, which we felt was a good solution because you can get very strong bandwidth coming through by satellite. So regardless of what happens, and that's a lesson from Irma and Maria, terrestrial-based systems are very subject to climate change vagaries and disasters, whether it be earthquakes or hurricanes. So having something that's an access, an infrastructure that sits above the earth gives us much more resilience, and in fact can actually serve us well in situations of disaster. So we're back to the drawing board on that front.
Okay, thank you. And I mean, I guess you touched on disaster. I'd like to reshape the question towards MP Duncan is like, you know, you guys experienced, you've experienced disaster in St. Maarten, and you've had to go through the process of rebuilding and you know, the infrastructural development that you see for the island. What do you think would be the first steps to addressing that for you?
Yes, so what COVID-19 has done is basically exacerbated what was already an issue. We've had a whole lot of infrastructural damage after the hurricane, and so we've been forced to look at how much work we need to do as a country. And I must admit that for us, one of the biggest issues has been political instability, because we see that decisions that should have been made quite some time ago were not made, because we're kind of behind. We are behind in terms of renewable energy and solar energy, when our Dutch Caribbean brothers and sisters right next door, you know, the government of Saba has talked about 100% sustainable energy transformation. Yes, they are a much smaller island, much less populated. But for us, we have a number of opportunities. We just need to say, this is where we are going, and then direct investment to it. So we have a lot of opportunity. We have been, there's been a lot of proposals from various companies internationally that have come and say, hey, you know, we can create, well, we do have an issue, let's say, with garbage. That is one thing. And we've had a number of proposals in terms of how do we want to manage our garbage. But again, it is just a political discussion that needs to take place and decisions that need to be made. And I feel like we have an opportunity now. COVID-19 has forced us to look at ourselves and change the direction in which the country is going. So I think we will see some better decision making moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. And I mean, you know, Bianca and Conor, you both spoke about, you know, engaging with the diaspora, and we've had some members ask about like what that would look like. Conor, you mentioned that, you know, there's a lot of red tape, and Bianca, you're in the process of facilitating a facility to allow for that process to occur. And digitization more generally. I mean, you guys also mentioned digital banking and creating those channels to allow those flows back into the region to act as a support. Bianca, what are some of the challenges that you faced in setting that up? I mean, we all understand the diversification, but what can we do better to make it an easier process to establish those flows to the diaspora and to facilitate the different jurisdictions, since we have so many?
You know, Martyn, I would actually mention only one word, and that is mindset. Because eventually it all comes down to mindset. Are we willing to collaborate with each other? And if we are willing to collaborate with each other, if it is like, you know, people on an island, public-private sector, diaspora, you know, giving the opportunity to people with certain knowledge to tap into challenges that we are facing on the island. Once the mindset is right and we are willing to collaborate, then the technical innovation is there to guide us. You know, we can set up whatever we want. We can do these Zoom meetings like we are doing it right now. That's not the difficulty. The difficulty is the fact that we need to be open and have fair discussions with each other, like, how are we going to do this? What do we face? What kind of knowledge do we have at the table or at a virtual summit to start sharing knowledge with each other? And if we are open to that, you know, I always advocate for the triple helix way of working. So government, private sector, and knowledge centra together, because I believe, you know, having the right data available, being able to do research, to study certain things is very important as well, to take the right decisions eventually. So the triple helix way of working and the right mindset of people to collaborate together, I think that is key in order to facilitate processes within or on islands, as well as within different sectors and between islands, even worldwide.
You know, when you mentioned the triple helix approach, it reminds me, you know, like in Barbados, we have a social partnership between business, government, and that a lot of that has come to assist us in times of like economic crisis. And, you know, I remember, Conor, you were mentioning, you know, this is about to go into a humanitarian crisis. There's going to need to be debt forgiveness. Do you think that we could have enough leverage as a negotiating bloc across our jurisdictions, whether we're OECS, CARICOM, et cetera, to facilitate this type of debt forgiveness, or at least encourage this? And in your experience, have you seen, do you see this opportunity coming up, Conor, and what needs to happen for that to be thoroughly facilitated?
Yeah, so it depends on where your financing has come from, Maarten. So if you're financed by, you know, another government, then debt forgiveness is absolutely on the table. If you're financed by banks, if it's international financing, then debt forgiveness will be on the table. If it's domestic, you don't want to get your banks taking a haircut, eliminate their capital, and put them at risk in the community that you operate in. But if it's international government, international banks, I think debt forgiveness is on the table. If you've gone to the markets and you've gone out with a bond offering that's been subscribed to by, you know, multiple investment groups around the world, that can become very complex, because you have to get 75% of the investors to agree to debt, you know, restructuring, renegotiation, etc. And in fact, what some of these investors do is they buy 26% of it. So therefore, you'll never get 75%, and they hold the key to what the negotiations are. So you only have to own 26% of a government bond, which may be trading. When Barbados was in trouble pre-IMF, it was about 50 cents on the dollar, so you can buy it cheaply. So it's quite complex. There's liquidity available in the investor market for bonds. However, debt forgiveness in that space is much more technical and much more challenging. So it depends on the structure of each country's debt. But rest assured, it's a global, you know, the Caribbean isn't suffering alone. Now, I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, because when it's, you know, Argentina's gone through this many times, they're past masters at it, and various other countries have done it many times. But when it's the whole world, and you have the poorer regions of Latin America, Central America, the Caribbean, Africa, parts of Asia seeking debt forgiveness, it's hugely impactful at the solvency level for the whole world. So, you know, but at the end of the day, if there's inability to repay, what do you do? You know, so there has to be a degree of negotiation. But what I would say, Maarten, is really, it's not today's problem. Today's problem is actually getting debt to fund the fiscal demands that have been placed on the individual government. So if any government has the ability to borrow now, I would borrow tonight, today, this afternoon.
That's interesting. We had a comment by Randall Mohammed in the chat saying that he thinks there should be a regional fund to manage the risk, similar to mutual aid schemes during an emergency. But as you rightfully say, you know, this is the whole world at risk at this moment.
Yeah.
So I wanted to take it back to the agricultural sector. We had a question coming in regarding how do you get people back to work in this field? How do you coordinate the contribution of the food industry and GDP? How can we coordinate the momentum between the region to get agriculture going and create that trade and diversification?
Martyn, if I could take this, we have had for the last 4.5 years, 5 years actually, a number of initiatives in the OECS aimed at strengthening agricultural production and enhancing the trade in agricultural produce across the region. That had been going fairly well until we had a problem with 2 of the boats, refrigerated boats that we were using for that trade. However, St. Vincent is spearheading this, Minister Saboto Caesar, and in fact now he is moving his leadership of this to the CARICOM-wide level with the CARICOM Food Security Plan. But essentially it involves looking at, especially in the context as COVID is now upon us, looking at foods of high nutritious value, foods that, crops that help build the immune system, so that we can initially focus on that and have the trade happening across the region. We're also looking at areas of comparative advantage and what are the crops that are ideally suited, because if you look at a place like Antigua, for example, it's very water starved and the soil is not as fertile as in other parts of the OECS. However, there is a legendary Antigua black pineapple. And if you look at supermarkets all across the Caribbean, we see pineapples imported from Florida, gold pineapples on the supermarket shelves. So the idea there is to look at areas of comparative advantage, have countries focus on these things and enhance the trade. As I said, right now we have before the cabinets of all of the OECS a package of legislation that will allow for relaxation of certain measures regarding customs and phytosanitary arrangements that would allow for faster movement of food products, especially locally produced food products across the region.
maybe I can add to that, Martyn, as well.
Sure.
Because I am shareholder of an hydroponics farm on Aruba called Happy Ponics. We grow lettuce on hydroponics. And there are more farmers on the island doing that. And what we saw during the crisis, or when the crisis started actually, because we were all selling to hotels and restaurants, and within 3 days we saw that our produce was gone, in the sense that we were producing, but we could not sell it to the hotels and restaurants anymore. So this is also why we brought it to the food bank, and this is how I saw the line grow at the food bank. But that's on a side note. But having said that, what you see is that there are more farmers now willing to collaborate with each other and to start sharing knowledge. So with 3 other farmers on the island, 2 other hydroponic farms, as well as a traditional farming organization, we are setting up packages for people with different food products in it. And they can just order them online and will be delivered at their houses to help them. So they don't need to go to the supermarkets, but they can order them online at home. And we are even looking into a better collaboration towards the future. I can share more with you in a later stage about that. But what we do see is also that we get requests from other islands, like, hey, high-tech agricultural ways of production. How can we set this up in the best way possible? Can you share that knowledge with us? So we do see that there is a big need. Also, the government created a specific task force for it on Aruba, food security, food safety, and we are having discussions. How can we do this in the best way? So there are a lot of examples. I do feel that there needs to be a good balance between the traditional way of farming as well as the high-tech farming on islands, because I think we can do things a lot more efficient and effective with for certain crops concerning hydroponics or aquaponics, and as well as the fact that we are all aware of the fact that we need to have our own food production towards the future. I think we all felt it when the crisis hit us, like, hey, where are we going to get our foods right now? So we got a lot of requests from companies, people like, hey, can we order food at your place? So I do feel that there is a big need to focus on food safety, food security. And I think all the concrete examples that are there, let's start sharing them amongst each other to eventually grow as the Caribbean as a whole.
Well, I appreciate that. A lot of what you guys have been talking about is not only how do we get money coming into our economies, but how do we decrease the leakage of funds going out, leaving. So like, there is an issue of equity that comes into play now more so than ever and when I say equity, I mean social equity coming into play. I had, and where we choose to invest our funds as a region when we look outside. So we had a question coming in from Patricia regarding the diaspora part and engaging. So should we extend our concept of diaspora to the African continent, since African continent, sorry, since Africa is poised to be a leading force in the new economy of the future with youth population, innovative entrepreneurial classes, and legacies of global South, political South-to-South aspirations. So I'm just wondering, how do we position ourselves to make sure that there's greater ownership of our assets, we can repurpose our assets, and we can collaborate with other regions and the diaspora and the African continent with our trade partners? Any insight on how that could create a more just transition for us in this process? I see Ludmila is gearing to go on that question.
Thanks, Martyn. Just to jump in, no, we have an opportunity now. If I go back again to our experience after Hurricane Irma, you know, and for us, we are not as traditional as many of the other countries in the region in terms of transfers, especially of money. But what we saw was that we were so lucky to be assisted by Sint Maarteners, especially in the Netherlands. There was an organization that really mobilized in terms of goods and relief goods. And so I think it's something that is untapped, at least for us. And I would look forward to not only working with Sint Maarteners in Europe, in the United States, and I'm not only talking about, let's say, money transfers, but also knowledge and expertise. Conor talked about brain drain and the fact that we have so many persons that are outside of the country helping to develop other countries, right? That we need ourselves, that expertise. So knowledge sharing and investment is important. And so for me, our diaspora is key. The region for us is key. And of course, hey, the continent, I would love to connect with the continent and see what can be shared, because we are an extremely small island nation and we are only learning, and so there are so many possibilities that exist. We just need to connect and be open, and I think that is something that is happening right now. So I'm looking forward to not only the diaspora but other connections as well.
Yeah. Oh, I appreciate that position. I think right before the call, you know, we had our little huddle and we were talking about reopening the hotel sector and the type of infrastructure that we might be seeing more of given the new COVID world. And I believe Dr. Jules was mentioning you might see more small properties. But we had a question come in the chat regarding how do we repurpose our existing hotel infrastructure in the region, given some of the businesses might not be able to go into tourism in the immediate future. Can we use the infrastructure that we have already to repurpose it? And have you seen examples of this? Do you think this is a realistic opportunity? I guess I'll direct that to you, Dr. Jules, since you started the
Yeah, well, there are a range of, a lot is being done right now at the Oecs and CARICOM level in conceptualizing how we re-energize or reactivate the tourism economy. That work is being led by Prime Minister Chasney and very ably supported and pushed also by Prime Minister Mia Mottley, who's the current chair of CARICOM. But what we've done as a working group supporting that effort is to start from the perspective of the individual traveler. So we've actually done swim lanes with a process map. Somebody is planning a holiday to wherever, what's involved in planning post-COVID. Then from that, I actually have, let me just share my screen quickly to show you just the structure. Where do I share screen now? Yeah. I'm going to just quickly show you the structure. Are you seeing my screen?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so we're looking at the holiday planning. This was done late last night, but it's now being populated by the team working on that at the Oecs. But from the visitor sequencing, so we're focusing on the individual because ultimately that's where the rubber hits the road. So planning the holiday, to pre-holiday preparations, to the day of travel, to departure, to arrival at the what happens at the departure airport, what happens with the flight boarding, what happens with arrival at the Oecs airport, transportation to the hotel, arrival and check-in at the hotel, hotel protocols, in-country activity and restrictions, departure from country. So under each of these, we are going to put in all of the necessary protocols. So for example, one of the things that we've already put in, the team working in there, is when you reach the point of pre-holiday preparations, 14 days before you travel, you need to take a PCR COVID-19 test so that by the day of travel, you can produce that test result at the airport as a prerequisite. Just as you produce your passport, you have to produce that test result as a prerequisite to board in the flight. And so we go right through. And then we're looking at parallel swim lanes at the level of the state. What do agencies have to do? So from planning holidays, the whole marketing and branding of Caribbean destinations, focus on health assurances, because the hotel sector is looking very closely at all the protocols they need to put in place. Right now, as a new phenomena in the staffing of hotels, they will have to have a public health official as an important member of their management team to lead and guide those protocols. The question of the role of cleaners, I mean, it's no longer just about traditional cleaning of a hotel room, the whole sanitation of rooms, sanitation of spaces, the reorganization of restaurants and how meals are being offered and so on. And then pre-holiday preparation. So the need for us at the level of state agencies provide websites with destination guidelines so that visitors can be guided in terms of their preparations, what is required to travel, and so on. So this is the type of work that's being done, very, very detailed forensic work that will then provide the necessary protocols. But all of this will be triggered by medical triggers that will determine, depending on how the curve is trending. Once we are sure that there are no longer rapid transmissions happening and we are on the decline, then these things would kick in.
Well, thank you, Dr. Jules. Also, thank you for your openness of sharing that with us.
Well, I just shared the shell, so it's not a secret yet.
That's okay. That's okay. We'll get to the yolk in due course. But I wanted to turn to Conor real quick just to hear your comment, on seeing what Dr. Jules just said, but to put it back to you, the repurposing of infrastructure, the tourism infrastructure. Just hear what you have to say.
Well, I think I have to believe there'll be a vaccine within 12 months, right? So if I can just make that assumption, I mean, I think this is a tremendous time to invest in tourism. Somebody is looking, to Dr. Jules's point, to building a hotel. Maybe they'll build a 30-room hotel, a 20-room hotel. It'll be much more eco-friendly. It'll be much less about global brands. It'll be much more about sort of local experiences. And I think that's, so I think it's a great opportunity if there is capital available to actually start that process, because it takes approximately 2 years plus 2 to 3 years. And at that stage, I think tourism, will be back across the region. It's kind of, how do we get to that point? So I think what Dr. Jules has outlined is, a great roadmap for, in the meantime, this is how we operate. It's just an enormous shame that we don't have the maritime and air links between the Caribbean, so as that we could open up to each other, because I think that would be a huge filler of, the lack of, so the US is going to be struggling with COVID for some time, I accept that. Therefore, it'll be much harder to open our borders to them. But inter-Caribbean, I think the regional opportunity is not there because of the lack of maritime and airlift, which is a real shame, because I think that would fill an economic gap.
Yeah.
Conor, I am totally on the same page with you on this, and I think this is where we see the opportunities for a real transformation of sectors.
Yeah.
I think the era of the 1,000-room hotel and so on, post-COVID, may come to a crashing halt. And again, that's why in doing that map I showed you, we focus on the individual visitor, because this is if we think through the psychology of the visitor, it gives us a lot of leads as to how we can transform the sector. In all of the discussions I've been at the CARICOM level and the OECS, the assumption, the focus has been on how does the industry get back on stream. So the focus for now is on the big enterprises, the big hotels. But I actually personally think that when tourism starts to get back on its feet, we will see actually a surge in bookings for small properties, the A and B villas and so on. Because if I'm a visitor going to the Caribbean, one, I think the allure of the Caribbean with sun, fresh air, all of that will be part of the my health recovery attraction. But then going into, it will be more attractive to me to book a villa where I can be with my family and be sure that we, in a well-sanitized place, our contacts are managed by ourselves. We cook, or we know where we're going to buy food and everything, than to be in a place with 500 other guests and, move around in that sort of anonymous crowd. So I believe one of the things I'm going to bring to the discussion is the need for us to simultaneously think about that small sector. But now, if my hypothesis is correct, there is an opportunity, like you say, not just to invest in small hotels, but also to have more of a shared economy in tourism rather than the all-inclusives controlling it all. There is a space for the all-inclusives, but then there's also now, COVID opens the way for all-inclusive small owner participation in a more shared economy.
Well, I'd like to say thank you to you all. And I mean, I've been sitting here taking notes and trying to synthesize everything that's been said. And, in summary, Conor was very right to say this could be a potential humanitarian, it is a humanitarian crisis, but we're having impacts in the short and the long term. And synthesizing what you guys have been saying, we do need economic diversification. We do need to have clean energy play a major role in that to get people back to work and agriculture so that we can feed ourselves, the immediate. The long term, medium to long term, looking at how we reorganize our trade partners, reducing the red tape for us to be able to engage with the diaspora and be able for us to have those digital flows of finances and new ways of collaboration are key to us moving forward. And crisis is a challenge, but it is also an opportunity for us to come together. And we've been on here for an hour and a half and we can't solve all of it in an hour and a half, but, I think I would like to thank you guys for, sparking and
Martyn, can I just make a quick intervention? Because
Sure.
I just want to emphasize to everyone on the call, on this event, that the responsibility for identifying and making use of these opportunities that COVID presents resides with all of us, right? Not just governments, private sector, even individuals. Yesterday, as an example, I was and I think in every sector, we need to think disruptively about what is possible. Yesterday, I was on a panel that with Sagicor, the insurance company, and Sagicor has just launched a new product for caregivers, for all medical frontline personnel, doctors, nurses, ancillary staff at the hospitals and their families at a very unique price point with 20%, we were told, of the cost of it being underwritten by the company itself. This is really revolutionary, and that's what we need to happen in the private sector, for people to think about how can they give back, but create new business models, right? That can really solve a lot of problems, because this is going to really make it easier for health workers to feel more secure, for their families to be guaranteed care, and it's path breaking.
Yes, I completely agree that, we leverage our negotiate power as a regional body, and I know we have hurricane season coming up and whatnot, and so it's these type of conversations that help us mobilize in the short term and then in the long term. So I want to thank you guys for being part of the panel, and turn it over to James, and thank James for inviting me to moderate. I'm sure a lot of you have questions and we will be able to facilitate them post-webinar. So thanks.
Thank you, everyone. That was an amazing panel. We received over 150 questions, so apologies, we didn't get to all of them. We tried to answer as many, but I'll be sure to kind of provide in our report on this panel some links. We had over 700 individuals join throughout the session live. We still have over 400 with us now, despite going slightly over. So thank you so much. I'm just posting now a list of links. It's a little bit messy in this chat. I know the limitations of Zoom, but I'll also send these in a follow-up email as well. If you want to follow this, continue this conversation, we have a Facebook group and a LinkedIn group where we'll be encouraging people to discuss. We also have another panel next week. This week, we really looked a lot at the smaller islands in the region. Next week, we'll be going on a deep dive into Jamaica. We have 5 very interesting speakers from very different angles within Jamaica to see how that country has responded and what actions are happening there. I also just want to highlight Gerry Blenman made a very interesting point. The responses in this chat alone are evidence of both the intellectual and technical capability of this region to respond in the crisis. And I agree, it was really amazing to see so many kind of ideas, individuals, people sharing their projects going on. And so thank you all to our speakers for sharing your insights. I know we could have spoke for hours and hours, and there's so much more to discuss. So we'll hopefully be doing more of these follow-ups. And I also want to say thank you to our typists who've been providing subtitles. They're volunteers, and I don't think they've ever typed so fast in their lives. So we'll be interested. This is something we haven't done before. So if that's something that was useful to you, please let us know. Because it was a lot of work to organize, but if people are actually finding that useful, we want to make sure that this is something to improve accessibility for people who are hard of hearing or otherwise find that useful. So that is it from us. Thank you all to our participants for joining. Dr. Jules, Bianca, Ludmila, Conor, Maarten, a really amazing job from all of you. We will also send this recording to everyone who's registered, so feel free to share it, go back to watch out. And I'll also ask Dr. Jules if we have some kind of report or information from the OECS that we can send out with that based on what you mentioned. Any information there or from any of our other speakers, including your presentation as well, Ludmila, will include that in the email. So thank you again. Continue the conversation in our social media and stay safe. And it was pointed out, me and Bianca are on the same beach. I wish, but hopefully we'll be seeing you all around the region soon. All right. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye now.
Cheers.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.